Straighten out because
Right.
got a low roof right here. Oh,
I want to be in the
okay.
I can't be in the front. I like to be in the front.
You'll have to take these off. Okay. Now, if you ended up in a seat by yourself, please sit in the center of the seat for balance purposes. All righty. No, I told her.
Even though Russians here, they don't have down first, just because you weigh way more than me.
Oh, yeah, she's here. Yeah, no, we don't need to talk unless she's gonna, I told her she goes to leave this area. I'll let you hold on. Okay. Yeah, this is the marker line right here, which if the floor hadn't heaved up, it's 6 feet from the floor of the mine. You can see it all on that side too. That's the height that the mine was when they first opened it, 6 feet. So you can spend your day like this. So that's why you all righty, you ready? All right, here we go.
Attention please. As we get ready to start our journey into the mine, remember, for your safety, you must remain seated at all times. Keep your hands and feet inside the train and do not raise your hands above the top of your head. All aboard! Salt Mine Express. In the wall to your right is a bulkhead. A bulkhead is what the miners call a wall that was used to direct airflow. This bulkhead is made of 1.5 inch thick tongue and groove planks supported by 6 inch by 6 inch timbers and sealed with black tar paper on the backside to keep air from that part of the mine from coming into this side. It was slowly being crushed by the roof, but as you can see, it finally came down. On the platform are a couple of 2-thumbed gloves. In the 1940s, this area was being mined. Everyone conserved materials for the war effort. The miners would wear the gloves until they wore out the palms. Then they would wear them on the opposite hands, using the second set of thumbs until they wore out the backs of the gloves. Now, stories have been told that Mr. Carey, the owner of the Carey salt mine, was always after the miners to pick up their trash and not contaminate the salt. Well, apparently a miner rolled up these gloves and stuffed them in a blasting hole, because that's where we found them 60 years later when we opened this part of the museum. Now, if you look closely at the salt wall to the right, glove stuffed in a blasting hole.
See the blood stuck there in the wall.
Two rooms ever developed.
Sorry about that, folks. We'll have a little bit of a PA system problem.
Snags are removed when necessary. Can you imagine how it must have sounded when this roof fell?
Testing, 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 1, 2. Testing, testing. Yeah. All right, folks, can you all hear me? Yeah. I'll use my school teacher voice and give you this. As you look to your left, you will see a rare sight, what the miners call a roof fall. The pieces on the floor used to be the roof. Over a number of years, the salt started sagging away from the compacted mud layer above it and eventually fell. Even though only a few rooms develop a roof sag, everywhere in the mine that people will walk, drive, or ride, we monitor the roof and sags are removed when necessary. Can you imagine how it sounded when this roof fell? From 1923 to 1983, the miners used a rail system to transport salt from the mine face to the salt skip where it was hoisted topside. In 1983, they switched to a conveyor belt system. On the left is a car that was used to haul salt, and railroad tracks that were abandoned when mining left this area in the 1950s. The miners used the same rails and ties over and over since bringing more down the skip was both time-consuming and costly. Our train crew ripped up and hauled back abandoned rails and ties from the mine that were used for our train track. Almost 5,000 feet of rail for the track you are riding on. At the next curve, we will pass by other original cars used with the rail system, including a hand-wheel operated rail bending car. comes down in the mine stays in the mine. If you look at the lit area, you will see that this is even true of mining trash. We know this area was mined in the 1940s and started being used as a break room in the 1950s. We found many name brand products in the trash pile from that time period, some of which are still around today. There are two things we noticed here. One is the calendar from 1953 on the floor by the rocks on the left, and two, when we found it over by the pillar, the gray trash can was empty. We consider all these items to be artifacts, which only proves that one person's trash is another's treasure.
Oh, a toilet.
In case you were wondering, trash isn't the only thing miners left underground. Apparently this area was used as a restroom. No fancy porta pots here, and they weren't very careful with the toilet paper either. This is one reason we say, don't lick the salt. As we round the curve up ahead, two spotlights will come on. The one on the left will highlight a stack of empty cardboard dynamite boxes. Then on the right, you will see a pillar that is scaling or spalling. This
I see
means
a
that the
ton of
salt
toilet
is breaking
paper
away
rolls.
from the wall. Like roof sags and floor heaves, this is a natural occurrence in a salt mine. As your adventure continues, keep in mind that we have tried to leave the mine just as it was years ago. And when we get to the station, please stay seated when we stop, and do not get off the train until instructed to do so.